Welcome back to another episode of Kerbal Space Program. This is episode 3, and I did a little bit of work. I say a little bit, I think it was like an hour and a half between this episode and the last episode. You might notice a big number on the screen. It's a big blue number, and it's right at the top of the screen. Yes, we have 730 science, and this is so overpowered. Honestly, this is so overpowered. It's impossible. It's the fact that you can get so much science just from the Kerbal Space Center alone just makes you skip half of the game, in my opinion. But I abused it in this playthrough, and yeah, this career mode is going to be absolutely booming from this point on. So yeah, we're definitely going to be orbiting in this episode. Maybe trying to get some satellites up in space, because if we're going to research and development, we're going to be able to buy a bunch of things. We're going to be able to buy all of this row, maybe half of this row. We've got so much science to put forth. However, I'm also going to have to do a few missions right off the get-go, because as you can see, our funds are a little bit low. I think we had 20,000 at the end of last episode, and I lost 16,000 just from going around gathering up all the science data. So we have 4,000 left over. So we will have to do some missions in order to just get those funds up a little bit. So let's have a look and see what we can do. Okay, so we're on a launch pad with our capsule, which has a thermometer on it and a small rocket booster, solid rocket booster. And what we're going to do is we're going to go for this here. We're going to fly over here below 17,500 meters and collect a temperature scan over here. And then we also have a pressure one over here that I will do next. And this should be enough money for this episode, just getting these two missions out the way. So I'll do those real quick, and we'll get to orbiting Kerbin. Okay, so there we are. I did the two missions. We have 63,000 because I also went and activated the Orbit Kerbin contract, because we got an advance of 16,800 monies. So now we've got to try and make it a vehicle that's going to get us into orbit without going over the 30 part limit here, and also not weighing over 18 tons, which I don't think is going to happen. So we might have to upgrade this and see if it works. But before we do that, let's go to the research and development building and start to unlock all this stuff. So we have 750 science. So what we're going to do is we're going to unlock these 3 nodes right here, because like I said before, we're going to go like one by one down these rows, make sure we're unlocking everything tier by tier. So let's start with getting flight control. So this is mainly used for probes. It also gives us access to MechJeb, but because I have the MechJeb always mod, we don't need this. We have controllable fins, we have reaction wheels. So it's really good for probes. Basically, it helps probes get up into space, so that'll be useful later on. So let's research that. We also have general construction, so we get a crew cabin now, so we can have an extra 2 crew on board with us, so we can start doing tourist missions, contracts. It's basically just taking a tourist from one place to another, or a suborbital flight or something, or an orbital flight. We also have strut connectors, which are going to be amazing and useful for connecting together boosters. Or if we have any engines and rockets on the side of our ship, they'll wave around in the wind, and as we're going up, and it'll make the ship really unstable, and these strut connectors will save us. We also have a bigger decoupler, I think it is. It's either a smaller decoupler or a bigger one, I'm not too sure. Structural fuselage, which I've never used in my life. We have the launch stability enhancer, so we can now hold up our rocket before launching. And we have another decoupler and a brand adapter, so we're going to get that too. We have advanced rocketry, so we have a Terrier liquid fuel engine, which is very efficient in the vacuum, which is nice. We have a foot liquid engine. I'm not too sure what this would be used for. We might find a use for it in the future, maybe for a lander potentially. We have a huge fuel tank, a fuel tank adapter, and a small fuel tank. So let's research that. And now we're on the big boy row. Like, this is where it starts getting absolutely great, and our campaign is going to start livening up a little bit. So we have heavy rocketry, which may be really good to get right off the get-go if we're trying to get into orbit. Also, we have better fuel systems here that we can use. Propulsion systems, this unlocks RCS, I think, and RCS engines. This is a liquid fuel engine though, right? Okay, maybe it's not RCS. It kind of looked like due to these, it was going to be RCS. But no, none of this is RCS whatsoever. That is monopropellant though, so that is RCS. We have advanced construction, so we can start putting headers on our rockets. So this is going to be really good for the probes. We have better aerodynamics, so when we come to make a plane, we can travel a lot faster. Landing for whenever we go to the moon. Better flight control for probes. We have space exploration. So we have a storage container, which allows us to carry more cables with us. We have a ladder and some wheels. We have miniaturization, once again, for probes. And then we have electricity generation, which once again is for probes. So because we're going to try to get into orbit, maybe we might go for heavy rocketry and start using some beautiful engines, maybe get fuel systems in heavy rocketry so we can start going everywhere, and then move on to advanced construction for whenever we want to get probes going. But I think probes is a compulsory thing I want to go for probes ASAP, because like I said, or like I did right off the get-go, I made it so we're going to have a satellite connection set up in order to contact from everywhere on the planet. So we're going to have to get probes out ASAP. Either way, let's get heavy rocketry, let's get fuel systems, and that should be it for now. Maybe advanced flight control for the inline stabilizer, I'm not too sure. That should be all we need for now. Just so you guys know, I am going to have to upgrade the launch pad because the vehicle that I have made is incredibly massive. And you're about to see this, and I didn't realize that, first of all, the Making History DLC adds a bunch more things into the game. And a lot of these items I have not seen before. But also, us unlocking those two technologies has already unlocked bigger and better rockets. And I'm absolutely amazed by the amount of variety we have at this stage of the career already. So, yep, time to show you the rocket. Okay, so this is the rocket. It's an absolute beast. We have two solid rocket boosters on the side, and we have the main engine here, which we're going to have activated with the solid rocket booster at the same time, just to keep ourselves going straight because of the gimballing that this engine has. And then what we'll do is once these run out, actually we'll stay pointed straight up, and then once these run out, they'll drop, hopefully not collide with our engine or anything, and then we'll start rotating over. And I'm hoping we have enough fuel to get into orbit here. Judging by this, we have about 3,000, maybe even 4,000 delta V once we do get up into space, because of course this meters a second will change here as we start getting higher and higher. So yeah, we'll give this a go, and hopefully it'll be absolutely fantastic. And hopefully Jebediah, once again, is going to set some milestones, and we'll be able to start orbiting in Kerbin. Let's go. So either way, we have made it into space. We have an apoapsis of 80,000 kilometers. We are now going to cruise up to apoapsis. But judging by our fuel, we are definitely going to be orbiting with this spacecraft. This spacecraft actually handled very well. The gimballing on this engine really made it stable during the flight. You know, this was absolutely perfect. And I'm really loving the design of this as well. It actually looks amazing. But yeah, I know it was a little bit overkill, but we actually made it into orbit. And, well, we haven't made it into orbit yet. We will be making it into orbit because there's nowhere with this amount of fuel we're not going to make it into orbit. So, thank you very much to VR Not to V Update for telling me that we can make it into orbit. Either way, we're going to cruise up to 80,000 around about our apoapsis, and then we're going to full on engage our engines. I can't believe it. I actually can't believe it. With this one engine alone, we made it into orbit. How? That is absolutely insane. That is absolutely insane, guys. I didn't realize this engine was so powerful. And we've made it into orbit without even having to use our upper stage here. I can't believe it. I actually can't believe it. I'm actually really stunned. Well, guys, we made it into orbit. First of all, let's go through all these contracts. I think a lot of these were from the last episode. So we did a temperature focus. We tested the engine. Yeah, there's a lot from the last episode. But here we go. We orbit Kerbal. It's closed. Don't close. Hello? Okay, there we go. We got 48,000 credits, 6 science, and 10 reputation. So now that we've come round to the dark side of the planet, we can now see a lot of things. We can actually see Mimbus over there, still getting sunlight. Yeah, everything's dark. You can see the sky, and it looks absolutely beautiful. I wonder if we can see any planets from here as well. Okay, I can definitely see a planet from here. See Jewel. And we don't actually see the planet. We just see like a green star in the sky. I can see it look like flickering a little bit too, like the distance mod is trying to render it in potentially, but yeah, we can see Jewel right there. That's absolutely amazing. I told you Jewel would be a massive green star in the sky, and there we go. Well, it's not a star, it's a planet, but we can see it. Either way, yeah, we gotta get ready now for our deorbit burn. We have 24 meters a second left in this tank. The only problem is this tank is potentially going to be left in space. I'm going to try and deorbit it with us, though, with some skillful maneuvering, because I don't want to leave this rocket behind in orbit. But we're going to start a deorbit burn now. And it's already finished. Okay, no, this will definitely deorbit. What I need to do, though, is I need to flip the ship back around. Or the rocket, I should say. I need to flip this back around, and then we're going to push this engine this direction so it slows down even more to make sure it does deorbit itself, because we don't want a little bit of junk laying around in orbit, right? So let's do that. Detach now. We're going to activate the engine to push it back a little bit, and that should now be deorbiting. What's its trajectory? Can we see its trajectory? Oh, please don't tell me that's... I don't know which is which. I have a feeling this rocket boost is the 38,000 kilometers. Let's have a look, though. Yeah, okay. So that will now be deorbited. We will now activate our engine backwards, and we will deorbit ourselves as well. And I'm going to wait until I get to this side of the planet, because I want to try and land near the Kerbal Space Center, since we might as well try and just burn all of our fuel anyway. Goodbye, Mr. Rocket Booster. You actually took us very far in this campaign. And here we have it, guys. Our first orbit is complete. We landed between the Kerbal Space Center and the airfield over there, actually. So we landed pretty close. I still have the heat shield on. We didn't need it whatsoever because I literally used all the fuel within the engine to slow down. So that's completely fine. But yeah, we have now completed orbit. We also completed our secondary contract, which was to come back from orbit. And now it's time to try and aim for the moon. But before we do that, we definitely have to start getting a communication line set up. So we're going to have to start getting a bunch of satellites up in orbit, which means we're going to have to get some more research and development. So let's see what we've got. So we have electrics, which we definitely want to go for. The problem is if we want to get a satellite network up, we're going to have to go straight for precision engineering as well. And I kind of want to go through the whole line before moving on. But the problem is we're kind of limited on the satellites, so we really do have to go for precision engineering. So I'm going to unlock miniaturization down here, and then electrics, and then I'm going to go straight for precision engineering for the antenna. And we really need this antenna because it's going to allow us to communicate from far and wide throughout the solar system. I don't know if there's a better one later on that's going to give us extra bonuses. There probably is going to be one somewhere, like a better antenna somewhere, but I'm not too sure. But yeah, this is definitely one of the relay antennas we need to start getting communications all over the solar system. And since we're going to be building probes, we also need to get advanced construction for the heads. So we have an aerodynamic head on the top, so the probe is covered as it ascends up into the atmosphere, so we need that too. And all of a sudden, all of our science is gone. We've already spent all of our science unlocking everything we need. But I think there was some hefty unlocks here, and I'm really, really happy with how far we've come in terms of the science tree here. So yeah, next step is to do a few more missions to start getting money in order to upgrade all of our space center, to upgrade our vehicle assembly building and our spaceplane hangar. At least get everything to level 2. And what will happen then is we'll be able to build bigger and bigger rockets and space planes and be able to do more stuff in the future. And since we want to build satellites, the thing we want to definitely upgrade is the vehicle assembly building ASAP. After that, we want to focus on the spaceplane hangar and the runway, get that to at least level 2, and everything should be fantastic from there. And now with those missions complete, I think it is definitely time to start exploring the moon and gathering some scientific data from it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to upgrade the vehicle assembly building. Voila. We now have a bunch more. Okay, I was going to try and see how many parts I could do, but apparently we're going to straight into the building. But we can now put a bunch more parts onto our ships, meaning that we can start launching more complex ships into space. And everything will be fantastic. We won't have a limitation shoved onto our heads. It's 255 max parts supported, so we have a lot of room here to work with. So if we go over to mission control now, we can now accept the mission to explore the moon. We'll get almost 90,000 in advanced, and then once we do it, we'll get a bunch more money for completing it as well. We get an absolute mad amount of money. We'll have like 400k, I think, at the end of this, give or take. So we'll take that. I don't think we have any other missions to do stuff for the moon. We have get science data from space around Kerbin. We could do this one, potentially. So transmit or recover scientific data from space around Kerbin. Okay, we'll do this one too, because as we're going over to the moon, we might as well do this. So let's grab that one too. So we should have a fair amount of money to build our ships now. So let me go and build the rocket that will take us to the moon. So this is what we're working with this time. It's slightly larger than the previous one, just to make sure we have the Delta V to get up, because the ship is going to potentially be a little bit heavier since we have a Science Junior on here and a bunch of science experiments inside. Yeah. I'm hoping this is an overkill. I'm expecting I've just built another overkill ship again. I know it can get into orbit how it is. I also changed the design a little bit by adding 2 fins on these solid rocket boosters apart from one, so I could place the struts, the construction holders, I don't know what exactly you call these, but to put them in like a slightly better position. And yeah, I'm hoping it's not overkill. I'm expecting it is overkill, but we're going to go with it anyway. We have a bunch of science experiments in here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to zoom in precisely so you can see them, but I have 2 of each this time, so we'll get a science experiment report from high orbit, and then we'll have one when we're around the moon. And I have that for both, apart from the Science Junior, because of course I don't want to take 2 Science Juniors with me. So this is the ship we're taking. And because we're heading towards the moon, the best way to go to the moon is to speed up time. and then you launch for the moon. Once you get into orbit here, you can see the moon on the just about on the horizon as you're coming up. So like right about here is the perfect time to start going for the moon. So let's do it. I don't know how long we time warped there, but let's go, shall we? And we'll see if we overkilled our ship once again. This time around, I'm going to detach really early just to make sure that the booster does go back to Kerbals. There we go. We have now detached. Let's put ourselves into orbit here. We are now successfully in orbit. Now we have to try and aim for the moon here. So we're going to add a maneuver. Okay, apparently I can't add maneuvers because our tracking station isn't level 2. And yeah, I've only just realized. So we might have to either wing it or guesstimate it. Now, I don't think I have enough funds to upgrade the tracking station to level 2, which is going to be a massive problem. So I think I am going to try and wing this. So we are going to have to wing this one. So I figured out that I don't have enough money to upgrade the tracking station to level 2 to add maneuvers. And also a big problem is that we already have our missions fulfilled or like filled out because one wants us to get scientific data from Kerbin orbit and the other one wants us to go to the moon. So we're in a little bit of an issue right now. So I'm going to have to try and wing this. I'm going to keep quick saving it and try and do it. But the basic way you get to the moon is as soon as it comes over the horizon here, literally just fire your engines and you should reach the moon. If you have enough thrust and you've done it correctly. So I'm going to wing it. I'm going to see if we can do this. Like I said, guys, I winged it, and we did it. And here we are, guys. We're in a suborbital trajectory around the moon. And it was very, very difficult. The tracking station doesn't allow you to see what's happening. And if you're getting caught by the moon's gravity well or anything, it doesn't allow you to see that. So I had to wing it. And you saw the trajectory that I took to get to it. As soon as the moon rose over the horizon, I just burnt my engines towards the moon. So now the biggest problem is I have to try and guesstimate how exactly I have to angle my engines, how exactly if I have to slow down or speed up or whatever in order to get back to Kerbin. So it's going to be very difficult here. I'm not going to be able to set up a maneuver node once again. I'm going to have to try and guesstimate this. So yes, we made it to the moon, guys. We are 220,000 meters off the surface, so we are going to get pretty close. I have already done our scientific research. I will get close and I will do our secondary scientific research once we get there. We are now incredibly close to the moon's surface. We can see all the little craters and everything. It looks absolutely beautiful, guys. It looks really beautiful. Hello, moon. We are the Kerbals of Kerbin, and we have come to claim you and to do some scientific research on you. So what we're going to do is we're going to observe some mystery goo as we're pretty close. Actually, does the mission tell us? It just says gain any scientific mission, scientific data. So we got ourselves the goo. We will log a temperature scan and we will do a pressure scan as well. We've already used that one, so we'll use this one. We'll close this. So just take your last look at the moon. It's absolutely beautiful. I'm not too sure about these sun flares. I might end up getting rid of these at some point. You guys are gonna have to let me know. But it's been a massive achievement, and we finally made it to the moon. We finally made it to the moon. And to make sure I arrive home safely, what I'm going to do is I'm going to park myself in an orbit where I go 50 kilometers into the atmosphere, or 20 kilometers into the atmosphere, I guess. So I slow down gradually because I don't want my ship to break apart as I am deorbiting, because we will be coming home with so much speed. So yeah, what I'll do is once we reach our periapsis, I will burn our fuel, our remaining fuel, to slow us down as much as possible. We'll probably swing back around again for a second orbit, but it'll be very, very close. And then we'll have lost a lot of our orbital speed. We finally made it home, guys. We finally made it home. We're in orbit around Kerbin for about 3-4 orbits, because we were edge braking. We were basically going down into the atmosphere, slowing down, so when we actually got down to the lower levels of the atmosphere, we were already slowed down for quite a bit. And that increased our survivability by a lot. And yeah, we are landing now. Jebediah is absolutely happy to be home. We have all of this science data that we have completed up in space. And yeah. Everything should be fantastic. We'll have finished those 2 missions. Apparently we didn't gather scientific data from the moon. I guess I have to be on the moon to do that. So that's a big feels bad, man. But we did return from a flyby of the moon. So we did get a lot more money from that as well. So I think that was a side quest. I'm calling it a quest, a side objective. I don't think we had to do that to actually complete the full thing. But either way, we have also recovered scientific data from space from around Kerbin as well. So let's recover the vessel and see how much science we have gained. So from that one flight, we gained 154 science. That's absolutely amazing. We definitely needed that. We also have 639,000 funds left to continue to upgrade our space center. And the first thing I'm definitely going to upgrade is the tracking center. So now we can start adding maneuvers in space, because that made my journey so much harder. We're going to check all these contracts real quick. So we orbited Kerbin, and we got a bunch of money for that. And we got the same thing as well. We didn't tell the recovery team that you'd be staying in space, so they're still looking. Great job. Okay, nice. And then here's the milestones. We got more money for orbiting. We also returned to the surface from orbiting. We broke a speed record. We initiated the first flyby of the moon. Gravitational influence. We escaped the gravitational influence of Kerbin and the moon. We have returned home from the moon. And so we got a bunch more money from that too. We explore Kerbin. Got a bunch more money from that. Conduct an atmospheric survey of Kerbin. So this is just the old stuff here. Exploring the moon. We got an absolute crap ton of money from that. But either way, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I didn't talk as much in this episode as I did in the last ones. It was just a lot of fast motion gameplay. But I really hope you did enjoy. This is going to be a heck of a challenge to edit because there was a lot of issues going on within playing that. And I was doing a little bit of quick saving and quick loading because it was an absolute mess because I didn't realize you can't do maneuvers without a level 2 tracking station. So there we go. Either way, we have no more missions left. We could also definitely do with upgrading the mission control while we're here as well. So I'll do that real quick. So now we can have a bunch more missions turned on at the same time. And yeah, also maybe the astronaut complex should be upgraded to level 2 at some point so we can start doing EVAs in space and on different planets too. But either way, guys, thank you very much for watching. It's been Sport6 here, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of Kerbal Space Program.